Ladies and gentlemen, this is Captain Robertson, and today I'm bringing you another quick video featuring the Bungeling Raiders add-on for Stormworks Build and Rescue. This time we'll be hunting down an Orca I attack submarine in Career Classic mode, which we can find here just off the west coast of the Sawyer Islands. Now, just to emphasise, this is not the unit's exact position. This is a datum of its approximate location, meaning it can be found anywhere within that radius, and is simulating the intel gathered from satellite, sonar, and even possible radar reflection and visual sightings of its snorkel or periscope. And as such, it will fade in and out and even move over time. Which means the only way to pinpoint its exact location would be to get closer and use our own radar or sonar to find it. Now, the reason why I'm explaining this is because there are still quite a few players out there that obviously don't read the description or the FAQ on the Steam Workshop, or are just a little slow on the uptake, that kept thinking that the enemy units were constantly spawning and then despawning again, which is definitely not the case. Another reason why I've made this video is because I've had a couple of questions from some of the guys that have watched a recent video by Frantic Matty where he destroyed an Orca II at periscope depth using rockets, but were later confused as to why this wasn't working in their own game. Well folks, the answer to that is that it was most likely because you were trying to shoot an Orca I. That's right, there's actually two types of submarines, and it's only the Orca II that sails close to the surface. And the poor old Orca I doesn't have any missiles, only torpedoes, and it will only come to the surface and use its deck gun as a last resort. Which unfortunately means it stays down at a greater depth than the Orca II, making it harder to spot and often just out of reach of any rockets, as sadly they tend to explode just a few meters under the surface. Now, if you're feeling adventurous, you could still try and use your guns against them, but my preferred method of dealing with them is the good old homing torpedo. But in order to use those, we first need to find the bastard, and that means using the dipping sonar. On a side note, you can usually tell when the enemy sub is an Orca I and not an Orca II when you can't pick up its periscope on your radar, nor will you be locked onto or fired upon whilst flying an aircraft. Be warned that as soon as you land on the water using floats or use a dipping sonar for too long, the Orca I will use its torpedoes against you. Anyway, with all that being said, let's try and find this bugger before he gets a chance to sink any of our ships. Ah, look at that. We've got engine noise to the south. Let's switch to active sonar. Yeah, there he is. Ah, I'd better lock on and pull that sonar back up. That looks like an incoming torpedo. Ooh, there it goes. That was close. If that had hit our dipping sonar, that could have easily taken us out along with it. Yeah, those medium-sized warheads are deadly. Right, time to return the favour. Yeah, spot the missing parachutes. I haven't researched those yet. Aha, that looks like a hit. Yeah, there it is. Okay, let's take a closer look. Yep, it's taken a massive hit amidships, which means they're pretty much done for because of all the flooding that will cause. Two direct torpedo hits like that will make them explode instantly, but that would be a waste of ammo. So what I'm going to do is just follow them around for a while and see how long it takes for them to sink. Well, it took a few minutes, but they've finally started to sink. Now, there's three ways to destroy an enemy submarine in this add-on. The first, as I mentioned, is by making it exceed its maximum damage threshold. The second is if it sinks past its crush depth of 100 meters, which won't happen in shallow waters like these, unfortunately. And the third is if there's too much internal flooding, and from the looks of it, it's getting pretty close to that stage already. As I said, I could have just used the second torpedo to finish it off, but since it doesn't have guided missiles, I don't really consider it much of a threat. Besides, I've got a feeling it's just about to die soon anyway. Ah, there we go. Mission accomplished. Right, now that the enemy sub has been dealt with, I think it's about time to head on back to base and call it a day. Well, I hope you all enjoyed today's video and found it informative, or at the very least, somewhat entertaining. And in closing, I would once again like to thank all of my followers, viewers and subscribers out there, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next one. Until then, this is Captain Robertson, signing off.